What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by Trufan. Before we get into today's conversation with Ryan Carter, there's a couple things that we need to go over first. Number one, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please consider leaving a rating and a review. The more positive ratings and reviews you get, the more it helps two people find the show, and it really helps to grow the community that we're developing here. And if you're one of those people that have recently found the podcast, welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. I put out brand new interviews every single Monday and brand new takeaways episodes as an audio exclusive where I sit down and talk to you about the most recent podcast episode of the week every single Thursday. And last but not least, if you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to share it to your Instagram story. Tag myself at the Jacob Kelly, tag Ryan at Ryan Carter with two R's in the middle, Carrter, and I'll feature you on the account and send you a message as well. And now, without further ado, I present to you my conversation with Ryan Carter. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by Trufan, and today we are joined by Ryan Carter. Ryan is the person behind the popular social media account Hoest, which he started on Instagram in high school and now has over 2 million followers on Instagram and over 1.5 million on TikTok. I'm very excited to have him here on the podcast today to discuss his journey. Ryan, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. It means a lot. It's my first podcast I've ever done, so hopefully I can figure out what I'm doing and make sure everything works well and goes smoothly, but I guess we'll find out. I'm excited though.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I'm not too worried either. And before we actually really get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to Jillian Piper from The Charlatan, because like you said, this is your first podcast. There's not a ton about you on the internet. So this article that you did with The Charlatan, which is Carleton University's newspaper, really kind of helped me guide like how I prepped for this podcast, because that was one of the main pieces I used. So the article's title is Teens Meme Dream. I'll make sure it's linked in the show notes if anyone wants to check it out. But I just want to give them a shout out, because without that article, I probably would have been working with nothing. So I just want to give them a quick shout out before we started.
Yeah, she did that for the paper, because I'm like friends with her from high school, and yeah, she just asked if I could do it for her. I said sure, and we got on like I don't know, I think it was a Zoom call or something for like an hour and a half, and I just talked really for her, and she came out with that. It was really good, and that's like like you said, the only piece of information on me on the internet, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get some more out here, and I'm excited.
100%. So I want to go all the way back to starting the account. And so from that article, then you created the account after getting a concussion in hockey, right?
Yes, correct.
And I've had a concussion in the past, and from my understanding, you're not supposed to be on your phone when you have a concussion. So like, were you kind of like going against doctor's orders to create this account?
Yeah, so basically, I was supposed to be locked in my room, in the dark with the blind shut, in the dark, not on my phone, not on my computer, not on my TV, like not watching TV. Kind of didn't listen to that. It's probably why it prolonged the how long it was taking to heal. But yeah, I just got bored one day. I went on my phone and I saw this meme page in my Explore page back in like 2015, December of 2015, I think maybe January of 2016, and I looked at their following and it had the 10 and then the K beside it, because after 9,999 followers, you roll into like the K. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like, I was like, that's so awesome. Like, I want to have a K beside my follower count. I think that's so cool. Um, and yeah, so I just worked on posting memes. I used hashtags. I figured out the algorithm on how to get on the Explore page. And I found that if bigger pages liked your posts within a certain amount of time, they'd push your posts or your videos to the Explore page, and your videos, even though you only had like 10,000 followers, would get like 6 million views, and you'd gain 5,000 followers off that in a day. And I would just keep doing that. I'd upload as many videos as possible throughout the day before I got like a headache, like a severe headache. Most of the time I had a headache doing it, but yeah, I just grinded. And once again, I didn't know you can make money from it. I just figured I literally only wanted the K beside the follower count, and I thought it was fun to post memes. So that's why I did it.
And so is that like, it was fun to post memes. So is that why you decided to create a meme page instead of trying to do it with your own account, like your personal account?
Yeah, so I thought a meme page was just cool, just because you can make people laugh. I found the stuff funny or relatable. And then at first, it was originally just going to be a girly page because that's what like popped off, and I figured that's what could get me to the 10K as fast as possible, and that worked. And then I found out that like guys were starting to share memes around too, and like starting to like follow accounts like Barstool Sports and stuff, where you just share like viral videos and stuff to their friends. And I was like, maybe I should switch it up and just broaden my horizon and let everyone be able to enjoy them and see them and share them. So I'm not just limiting myself to one audience. And that's what I did. And it popped off even more. And I'm grateful I did that for sure.
And so talk to me then about the name Hoest. What does that mean? And like at the time when you created the account, I'm assuming you didn't know that Hoest was like a Norwegian black metal band, because that's what I kept finding when I was Googling Hoest trying to prep for this podcast.
So yeah, so yeah, originally, still to this day, people make their usernames they kind of slap in like the word like slut or hoe in like in already made words. So like I'm not sure if you know about the account Honest, which is HOENEST. So it's like the word honest, but they just kind of added an E to make it honest. Um, so I did that with like Host HOST because I thought that was like cool, like the host of like a meme page. Um, and it actually turned out to be like Hoest, which also kind of worked. um, so it worked out like that. And to be fair, when I was making the name, I was trying a whole bunch of other names. Like I was trying like common white girls, like I like stuff that was bopping on Twitter. I was like taking, or like trying to like work with, and those were taken. It's like these big long usernames were taken, and I tried Hoest out of just like a hey, it looks cool, it sounds cool, I'm gonna try it, and it worked. I was so surprised because it's 5 letters, it's quick, it's easy to remember, it's good for branding, and yeah, um, just kind of a spur of the moment decision. So luckily for that.
And do you remember that account that inspired you that had 11K or 10K? Do you remember what it was?
No, I don't remember. I just remember I can't remember. It was a video they posted, and it was like a dog video, I think, and they had 11K, I think, or 10.5K or something like that. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And like obviously, I'd seen accounts with it, but to see just some like small page like posting videos, and they weren't really doing anything like insane, but they were just posting videos and getting views and followers, and I guess they grew to 10.5K and got the follower count. So that was cool.
hmm And so your original goal was to hit 10K just to get that K, but correct me if I'm wrong, but in 4 months you hit 250K, right?
Yeah. So it really popped off in the beginning, and yeah, I went from 10 to 50K in a week, I think, maybe 2 weeks, and then 50K to 100K in I think a week after that, and then it's obviously starts to slow down because the algorithm changed and how what got you on the explore page changed. So we had to work on like me and I had a group chat would work on how to like get on the explore page or more efficiently get on the explore page. Um, and yeah, so took about 4 months to hit 250K, and I hit within 364 days, I hit 500K, and within 3 years, I hit 1 million.
That's wild. And so talk to me a little bit about that group chat then. So is that you kind of working with other big meme accounts to kind of help each other grow and like strategize and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you know what Kick is,
Yep.
like a messaging app. Um, so that was like the thing that was used before, like Telegram. I don't know if you know what that is, or um, what are some other ones now? Even just like iMessage and stuff. So we were using Kick, and I had a group chat that did like for like and like comment for comment and stuff. And what I would do is like I'd like to think I helped start like the big movement of like for like and comment for comment. So the group chat was full at 50 people because that's all you could have in Kick, and people would pay me to skip the line because I had a waiting list. People would pay me to skip the waiting list to get into the group chat because it was like popping accounts off like crazy. Because you would basically say you're here within 5 minutes of the round going live, which is like a round is like where it has a list of everyone's names who's doing the like for like and the comment for comment. And then you would just go down that list and like everyone's recent post or the recent 3 posts and comment on them as well. And then you would get likes and comments on your videos, obviously, because you were in the list. And to start that, you would just say here, whenever I'd say we're doing a round in 5 minutes, whoever said here got their @ written down on the list. I'd send the list out. People would go through it. If people were skipping certain people, if people were not doing it at all, you got kicked from the chat and the next person got in. And yeah.
That's wild. And so do you like with the like and comment thing today in 2020? I had recently interviewed a guy named Farouk who runs at Good Life, and his big thing right now is commenting on other like meme pages, not in like a like for like sense, but just because he's verified and he's got a big account now, he like goes on and comments on people's things, and his comment will like appear at the top just because of how many followers he has, and he gets followers that way. Is that something you're doing now, where you're going and commenting on other people's pages to just kind of get exposure to Hoest?
No. So the reason his comments pop off, and I've seen him before, and he's absolutely crushing it. Um, so he's verified. So they push verified comments to the top. Instagram does. So normally, like on a page like mine, unfortunately, I'm still not verified, and a lot of pages aren't, and they need to work on that. But anyways, because he's verified, his comments get pushed to the top, and then because they get pushed to the top, they get more likes, they get more exposure. So they don't even need to get pinned to be like the top comment. So if, like, for example, he comments on memes are, if he comments on memes are, no matter, like, there could be comments with less like or more like, sorry, than his, and his will still be above theirs because he's verified. So he's just using his verification as like a tool, which is very smart. I wish I could do that, but unfortunately I'm not verified.
Mm-hmm. What are some other things? So you mentioned this group chat, and then the like for like, comment for comment, and working with these other big meme accounts. That's clearly one of the big drivers of the growth for the account, especially early on. But what are some other things you did? You mentioned hashtags and stuff. Did you ever do contesting or paid ads or anything like that?
No, so that's the thing. I've never paid for an ad on Hoest. I've net like for Hoest directly. I've never did the follow apps that were a thing, or like the, any of that sketchy stuff. I've never bought in my account. I've never done anything like that. And yeah, so I used hashtags in the beginning, very beginning, before I kind of made some friends in the community and built that group chat out. And that just got me to about 5 to 10K. And then I did the group chat thing. And then that whole strategy kind of died out because they changed the algorithm, and then they changed it from chronological and stuff like that. So there was a whole bunch of changes that we had to work on. And eventually now it's kind of changing right now too. But the best way to grow is just by like being private, posting as much content as possible, which I've been taking a break from, and just enjoying life, but posting as much content as possible, between like 30 and 50 posts a day, preferably videos if you can get them and get the permission to use them, which takes time. And just like growing off people sending each other like videos and the posts that you post, and then they have to follow to see, like they have to be accepted to see the video or the post that their friend sent them.
Mm-hmm. I got you. And I do want to actually, we will talk a little bit more about kind of like the current strategy for Host and how it's evolved over time. But I'm curious, at what point did it become kind of like not a business for you, but what point did you really start to dive headfirst into it? Because obviously your goal was to hit the 10K, and you probably hit it a lot faster than you thought it would. So at what point were you like, I could probably make this like a really big thing? Like, at what point did that kind of shift in you, as opposed to something you were just trying to do to get that K, to something you were like, I could make this like a business? Like, when did that switch happen for you mentally?
I hit 10K, and then I hit 50K 2 weeks later, and about then to the 100K, I was like, okay, this is like really popping off quick. And this is when I started making money from the group chat, and also making money from just like ads. I was getting like really low ads, like, like $10 to $50 for an ad. And I was like, this is crazy. First of all, I didn't even know you can make money as a meme page. I knew like these Instagram models and stuff were making money, and I knew like these influencers were making money and stuff like that, and the big pages were making money, but I didn't realize that if you had like 100, 500K, you could make like real money out of it. So I started taking it seriously whenever I started making like, $100 a week off of it. And I was like, oh, like you can make money off this just by posting memes and viral videos, and just sharing content. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And I started taking it seriously around the 100K mark, and really putting like all my time into it, taking, kind of slacking on school, and just, like I said, putting all my effort and time into it.
And speaking of school, so you started this when you were 15, right?
Yes, correct.
And so how was it managing it in high school? And like, did a lot of your friends know, or did you kind of keep it as a private thing, or like, what was that like?
So at first, nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody because I've never been one to like try to flex it or anything. Like obviously now people know, and people, know about it, and there's no way of hiding it. Considering I dropped out of school for it. Um, but yeah, it's no one really knew except one time in business class. I had my phone open on my desk, and it was on the page, and it had like 170K, maybe 200K at the time. And the person sitting beside me saw it and were like, what the hell is that? And I was like, oh shit. And now I have to explain this. So I explained it, and then it got around the whole school and kind of spread like wildfire. And And then everyone knew about it after that because everyone found out through that.
Yeah. And what about like, yeah, obviously texting in class, maybe it was allowed at that point in time, but like I've had Buster Share on the podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He runs an account called Hoops Nation. And like I've had him on the podcast and he was saying like the worst thing ever was being in class and getting his phone taken away. Cause like, especially when you mentioned like the volume of content you were posting, and like when he would get his phone taken away, he'd be like DMing someone about like NBA All-Star Week because he's supposed to go out there and his teacher takes his phone. And like that was the worst thing ever. Like, did you ever have to deal with that?
Yeah, I dealt with that a lot. I'm sure my parents got a lot of report card comments. Actually, I have a report card comment that says, was from grade 11. It says, Ryan should focus on class more and put his phone down more. And she would always take my phone away. I'd be trying to set up like a bulk deal with 10 Tree for my first ever like big deal. And I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to set this up in the middle of French class. And she would take it away every single time. And I'd be pissed because she was always like killing the vibe and ruining my success, I'd like to think. But yeah, I probably should have focused on school a little more. I still did good. I didn't like flunk out or anything. Like I did fine. But yeah, I definitely had some problems and teachers definitely didn't like me because I was on my phone a lot.
Was there that like one teacher that knew what you were doing that like supported you in what you were doing and like tried to push you towards it, or were all the teachers kind of like, "What are you doing?" Like, put your phone down.
So all my teachers knew because I did tell them just so they knew I wasn't being like purposely disrespectful and just ignoring them. I did tell all my teachers. But obviously some of them didn't care and didn't understand what I was doing and the fact that I like was trying to make it into something. But I did have two teachers, my English teacher, Mr. Timms, and my business teacher, Don Wood. They pushed me and like wouldn't care if I was on my phone and if I was doing something. Like I said, I was always an attentive student. Like the second I put my phone down and I still did well. It's not like it was affecting my grades at all. It may have affected a little bit, but not drastically. Um, and they would always push me and like always gas me up in front of the class. And it was just, yeah, they were my favorite teachers in the whole world. Those two teachers.
hmm And I'm curious. So while you're in high school, like obviously once it made it around the school, it's a big deal. Were there any like at the time or even now big names that followed the account, or like who's the first like traditional celebrity to follow the account that you were like, what the fuck? Like this person followed me? Like, is there anyone like that?
So the Justin Bieber liked one of my posts. I can't find it now, but it was back. It was really early on because it must have been on his explore page, and this was when I was still public. And so did Demi Lovato, and I think Selena Gomez liked one of them. No one big followed me at the time, but those people liked it. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. But now I got people like Steve Aoki following me. I have people Lennon Stella, the artist, Christy Mack, who else? Like Puberty and Memes are like those are my friends. They have like 25 mil each now. There's a few names, and I'm followed by like big companies like Bud Light, the Slim Jim, obviously, because that's how they do their brand. Um, and yeah, just a lot of people now. I'm not really sure who my first like big person was that followed me. But I just remember the people like the Justin Bieber liking it and that. So
And how big was the account when you graduated high school?
graduated high school. I think it was at 700K, 600K maybe. I think around 700K because I quit my job at Foodland for that.
Yeah. And you mentioned that like so you ended up dropping out of university, which we'll get to in a second. But at that point when you're graduating high school at 700K, you just quit your job. Was there ever a conversation at that point to forego university at least for a little while to see if you can like go all out and make this work?
Yeah, I had that talk with my parents multiple times. And my parents have always been supportive of it and I love them to death. But they did want me to at least try 1 year, like first year university and just like see how it goes. And I was like, fair, like I'll go. Some stuff happened in my family and I was like, I kind of sucks that I'm at school 4 hours away in Ottawa when they live in Peterborough. It's kind of unfortunate. And also I was trying to do the Hoest thing on the side, like really go all in on Hoest at the time and do university and like be social. And it was just a lot. I still made it through the year, obviously, and everything ended up good and okay, thank God. But yeah, it was crazy. The first year of university was crazy, and then 2 weeks into second year, the Hoest got evaluated at the 750K mark with the TikTok and with the Instagram, and I was like, okay, I should probably like really take this seriously and like put every single second I have in the day into it, and that's what I did in the beginning of second year, and I've been doing that ever since.
And so when you say evaluate, you mean like it was the company of Hoest was valued at $750,000 is what you're saying, right? Like not 750 followers, 750,000 followers. Like,
Yes, correct,
sorry, what?
correct. Yeah.
And so like at that point, like I'm curious, like flashing back even to prior to starting the account. Then, so at this point now, your second week university, this company you founded is valued at over $750,000. Before starting Hoest, what was your kind of like career goals? I know you're like 14, 15 at the time, so like things obviously changed, but like at that point in time, like what did you picture your future looking like?
To be fair, I had no idea. I knew I didn't want like a desk job. This sounds like so cliche and stuff. I didn't want like a desk job, and just like a 9 to 5. Like it sounds so cliche. I hate saying it, but I didn't want that. And I honestly just I wanted to either put my whole life into work like 18, 20 hour days, or just be able to relax and enjoy life. I don't really like a happy medium. Um, so it was either all in or really just kind of relaxing. And I obviously didn't want to take the relaxing path and become like a bum or anything like that. So I think my career goal would have been like my actual goal would have been like CEO of like Apple or like Tesla, because those like my favorite companies. But obviously you can't just like be that. So I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what I would have done or what I would be doing right now. Something with marketing.
Hmm. And so how do you determine the value of social media accounts? Like how did that first who evaluated it, and like how did they come up with $750,000?
So a company offered me with a whole contract and stuff, like what they would take it over as. And that was $750,000. And I was like, that's a big number. And obviously that's insane at 19 years old to get an offer like that. But it's based off of like how much reach you get, how many story views you get, what is your follower count, what is your ratio from followers to like engagement, reach, how well it like performs on ads. So like what is the conversion on ads that I get, how much I get paid for ads, so how much you make in like a year. And then they just kind of divvy it up into like, okay, if they make that much in 1 year, what would they make in 5 years with like an estimated growth on revenue and follower count and stuff like that. So it was basically just done out like that.
Got you. And so that was so someone offered to acquire the account for that much money?
Yes, correct. But uh, obviously, you're not allowed to sell accounts or sell anything like that. So it would have had to been done as like a brand acquisition, because obviously that goes against Instagram's terms and policies, and I'm not trying to get the account deleted. Um, but I just politely declined because like I said, I just dropped out like I was just dropping out of school and wanted to just like put all my time into it and see where it went.
Mhm. And so was that after the Barstool's attempted acquisition of the brand?
That was that was it. That was
Oh,
the
got you.
yeah, yeah.
That was Barstool.
Yeah.
And so so when they first put that number in front of you, what is your like what goes through your head? Like do you think about taking it? Like how do you evaluate that? Like one that cuz that's a huge number, especially like you said at 19 to have that put in front of you. Like what's your reaction?
First of all, I was absolutely blown away because, to be fair, I thought it was maybe worth like just pushing six figures, maybe a little bit more than that. Um, and yeah, it was just like a lot of wonder and like what I should do. And I was just like confused on what I should do, and I took a few days to really think about it, and was still going to school before I officially dropped out. And I was like, man, like I could sell it now and just continue on just doing school and just be, a little bit more set for life. But then I'd be doing a job that I probably don't enjoy, and I probably wouldn't have as much fun with or have as much like personal happiness from it. Um, so I was like, I think I should just stick with it and see where it goes. Because if I've done this in 3 years and I've been at school while doing it and I've been doing things on the side while doing it, imagine what I could do with it when I literally have 24 hours a day and it's all devoted to Hoest. That's it. So I did
Mhm.
that.
So how hard was it then to just to turn that down though? Like you laid it out where it makes sense. Where in the long run, like you'll make more money in the next several years just by going all in on it than you would have just by taking that deal. But like to say no, thank you to $750,000, like is that a hard decision to make?
Oh yeah, it was obviously the hardest decision of my life. But also at the same time, it was kind of easy because it, it made me realize, like I said, that this was something serious and something like worthwhile to do. So clearly I need to put all my time into it. So it kind of like forced me into putting all my time and effort into it and really realizing the potential it has and had. Um, so I'm kind of grateful. I'm very grateful for it because, like I said, it made me change my thinking of it and made me realize how big of a brand it really is and how many people actually care about it. So that was pretty cool, but it was very hard.
Would your aunt, do you think you would have thought about it longer or maybe even done something different if part of them acquiring the Hoest brand was also like keeping you on though? And then Barstool just owns the brand and you still manage everything day to day, kind of like they did that with like with Call Her Daddy and Spit and Chicklets. Like, would you have had a different reaction if they'd done that?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I believe in it. I don't remember now because to be fair, I kind of it was all a blur because it was just crazy. Um, I they didn't want me to continue managing the account. I think they wanted someone else to manage it, and that like if that was the case, um, maybe. But I like doing everything on it. I like being the brain behind it because there's a reason it's at where it is, and there's a reason I'm as happy as I am right now and as grateful as I am right now. It's because I've been doing everything on it. I've never had a cone or anything like that. So I'm not really sure. Maybe it would have changed my mind, but I still think I just want to be the whole thing behind it.
Mhm. And now with kind of with that in mind, with you being the brain behind the account, you always being the main person behind the account, I want to kind of dive into the strategy a little bit and kind of how you approach the account, managing it day to day and everything. And so you got 2 million on Instagram right now, 1.5 on TikTok. If I was to say, what's your primary platform, which one would you pick?
Instagram, 100%.
Instagram. Interesting. And so how has things, like you mentioned, the algorithm and everything has changed over time. And so how have things changed over the last 4 years? Like what are some of the biggest shifts you've made in your strategy? Is private probably the biggest one? Or like what are some
Yeah,
things that have changed?
private is probably the biggest one because before it was public with like for like. I don't do the DMing different account like for like for like. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that for years now. So I would say the private thing is the biggest shift because that completely changed how I did it. Before it was like 6 videos a day. Now it's upwards of 60 to 70 posts a day. Um, so yeah, I would say that's the biggest shift. And you just have to make that shift because of just the way the app's working and the algorithm changing. But Reels is pretty interesting. So you could technically go back to being public and posting Reels now that it's kind of like a TikTok format and a TikTok growth. The only problem is Reels, in my opinion, hasn't really popped off yet like TikTok. So once it gets a little more traction, maybe then I'll do another big shift into like becoming like a Reels posting account and really focus on Reels. But for now, it's just still going to be private because that's what's working and don't fix what isn't broken.
And so like why is it working? Because is it just like, is it an algorithmic thing or is it like people think they're missing out because they can't like, or when someone sends them a DM from Hoest and the person that they're sending who doesn't follow Hoest, they have to follow to even see it in their DMs. Like what is the thought process? Like why does being private work?
So yeah, it's basically what you said. Just you get sent a meme, you're missing out because it's private, you can't see. The only way for you to see it is your friend screenshots it, which is easy with a picture and like a relatable, funny meme. But when it comes to a video, like no one wants to screen record a video. This is why videos are so important for private pages. No one wants to screen record a video and then send it to their friend because that obviously takes up a lot of space on their phone, takes up a lot of time, and it's just honestly a nuisance, especially when you're posting so much content. Like like no one wants to screen record 15 videos and send it to their friend. Like that would take forever. Some people do it, and amazing to those people. But most of the time, you just get the follow, and some people obviously unfollow and see the video and are gone, and then hopefully their friend doesn't send them another one because then they got to refollow. Um, but yeah,
And so how many requests are you getting a day if you could like ballpark that number?
so recently not as many as I'd like because I've been taking a step back to really like get sleep, focus on my health, like really just make sure I'm spending time with friends and like the people I love and just like enjoying life a little more. Cause for the past like 5 years, I've just been go, 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 go and haven't had a time. I haven't had vacation in that time. I haven't had a single day off of Hoest ever since I started it. Um, so I've just been go, go, go. And recently I've been slacking a little bit and only getting like 6 to 15 posts up a day. So about 3,000 requests a day right now. But when I'm in grind mode and posting like 50 to 70 times a day, sometimes even 100 times a day, I get anywhere from 10,000 to 15,000 follow requests in that day.
And so for context, then like comparing grind mode to 10 to 15,000 a day, what were you getting prior to putting the account private?
So eventually the like for like method kind of peaked and just kind of stayed plateaued. So you would lose, let's say 100 followers a day, but you gain like 150 because your videos weren't popping off as much as they should be or as they would be prior to the change in the algorithm. So you were just kind of plateauing at a follower count, and that was kind of just like frustrating. And then people started doing the private thing and really popping off. I think Puberty and Memes were like the first to really like do it. And then I just was talking to them and they were like, "Yeah, man, do it. Like it's the wave, like get on it." And I did it and yeah, that's the way it is now.
hmm And you said like in grind mode, 30 to 50, 70, sometimes 100 posts a day. Is that all feed posts or is there like some story stuff in there as well?
So that's all feed posts. Sometimes during like grind mode, I'll try to get like between 10 and 15 stories up in that time as well. Just because like the extra content, like whatever. And on story, I try to put like the more junky content, like the stuff that like if people didn't like it because it wasn't like, oh, this was kind of like a shit post, like it's on my story and you can just tap by it rather than have to scroll by it. So less chance of an unfollow. But yeah, I try to put like the best content on my feed and then put the less likely good content onto my story.
And so talk to me kind of behind the rationale of posting that many times in feed a day. Like I feel like some people don't want to post 2 days back, like one post a day, 2 days in a row because they feel like they're going to be in the feed too much. So talk to me kind of about like the rationale behind that much content.
Okay, so the people that don't want to post two times within like a couple days, that's more of like a personal account thing, and I completely understand that. Like you don't want to flood, like no one wants to see that much content from a personal account, in my opinion. Some people do, and all to them. But if you're following a meme page, you're looking for like content, you're looking for a laugh, you're looking for something relatable, you're looking for something you can send to your friends because you're bored. So the more content, the better, in my opinion, because obviously you want the most, the more the merrier.
And then is there like with that much volume, is there like a specific time of day you try to hit or are you just like go, 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 just get it up as soon as I have it? Like what's that look like?
So that the grind mode is me waking up at 9:30. I have a little like wake up here to like 9:30 to 10, and I just kind of like post a couple times, and then I get up, shower, usually just skip breakfast, which I've been working on, like I said. But then I got my iPad, I put the timer on for 10 minutes. I go on Twitter, TikTok, look for content, request permission to use the content the whole day. And I have that timer, and every 10 minutes I post for the whole day until sometimes 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Get 4 hours of sleep and then repeat the process.
That's wild. So you said you find all of your content on TikTok and Twitter for the most part. Is that's where you're looking for it?
Yeah, right now that's like the best place to find content and like the easiest for TikTok for videos because you can directly ask them permission right there. You just go to like it. I have an account called Hoest Feature, and I just go onto that account, jump on TikTok, find a video I like, and then you just got to go. It just takes you directly to their Instagram when you hit the Instagram link in their on the TikTok bio, and you just message them, hey, do I have a copy and paste message? I just send it out, wait for them to reply, go back, get the video, get it up with credit. Credit and consent is what CC stands for, and then just move on from there and find another one.
hmm And have you like have you been doing the credit and consent from the beginning? Like have you ever gotten in any controversy or anything with it?
So back in January, I was posting. I had a day where I posted 120 times, and I was posting everything, like every video I saw. And eventually, a company called Viral Hog didn't like that because they were licensing videos. It's a licensing company, and they striked 11 of my videos in one day, which obviously is a big problem because usually about three strikes means your account's deleted. Um, so I was freaking out, like craziest day, like most stressful day ever, I think. And I had to pay them $330 or 300 US per strike to get the video revoked. And then I had to still end up deleting the videos, which was fine because they were old and they were like a dead video at that point. So it wasn't like it was losing me any followers. So I ended up having to pay like I think all in all, after a few days after that, I had to like figure out how to like really like avoid them. It ended up costing me I think like $5,000 to
Shit. So have you like with that in mind then have you ever started making original memes or anything like that?
it's tough. I have thought about it. Um with the amount of content I post, it's really hard to do that. If I was posting like 3 to 6 times a day, I definitely could, and I have thought about doing that. And like I said, if the algorithm or the meta ever changes, I do have it in mind and how I can do it. But right now, with how it is, I'm still just going to stick to the permission thing and just getting as much content up as possible. Like I said, just because the sheer amount of content I need to get up and do get up, it'd be so hard for me to individually make each post and make the videos and the content.
And then how long does it take you? So you said your alarm goes off every 10 minutes to make a post. Is it like a 30-second ordeal to make a post, or like how long does it take you to caption it and upload it and post it and everything?
So for videos, for a picture, we'll start. It's super easy. Just go on Twitter. You find like a funny meme or relatable meme or something. You take a screenshot of it, crop it directly to each line, a little like rectangle or square. Put it into this app called InstaShot. Stretch it out a bit so it becomes like a white background and it fits the tile. And then you post it. Takes about probably a minute, 2 minutes. A video, if you take into account finding the video, asking for permission, waiting for the reply, it can take anywhere from like a couple minutes to a day to a week to a month for the person to reply. But then you have to post that video on Twitter. So I have a Twitter account just called Hoest on Insta. I think I'm just using natural growth there. I only have like 700 followers on Twitter right now. And I post it on there, screenshot the caption I made for it on Twitter, crop it, put it into InstaShot again, but as a video, put the caption on top of the video, once again, make it so it has a white background, and then I post it up on Hoest. Under a Reels if it's under 15 seconds, or as an IGTV video if it's over a minute. And yeah.
Is there a strategy behind the way you caption your content? Like, are you trying to get engagement and stuff, like tag a friend, send this to a friend, or anything like that?
So yeah, sometimes I try to like make it like that, but for the most part, I just try to make it as least controversial as possible, as well as like as relatable as possible, or like just kind of knowing my main audience is 18 to 24. I try to caption it that would hit that and like really like be able so like they can understand it and they can relate to it. So, and I try to like see where they're coming from and what pops off, and I really keep into account what pops off and what doesn't. A lot of my followers love dog videos because I've been posting them forever. So dog videos tend to pop off more than any other video. But yeah.
So how deep then do you get into your analytics? Like, do you review, like take once like every Sunday afternoon or something to review your analytics and see what's performing and what's not? Or like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I do try to really look at my analytics like every day. I try to just stay on top of them and make sure that everything's good. Obviously, being private, you can't directly tell like check your reach every day on like each post, but I try to go public every so often and just like get a view of like the age range, where they're from, what time of day they're up at, what time of day they're not up at. And I just try to base it off that. On TikTok, I'm public, so it's easier, and I do have analytics on TikTok, so I look at that as well, and they generally match up with my Instagram analytics. So I usually just go off TikTok now, but I still check my Instagram analytics to make sure that A, everything's okay, and and B, just stay on top of the content and what I'm posting to relate to my audience.
And you mentioned the dog videos perform well, and I've also heard that content from other platforms, like whether it be screenshotting a tweet or taking a video from TikTok and posting it on Instagram, those type of content really perform well. Have you noticed a similar thing where content from other platforms does really well on Instagram?
Yeah, so that's the thing with Instagram too, is usually when you see someone when you like know someone on Twitter, they usually don't have Instagram, and when you know someone on Instagram, usually they don't have Twitter, especially at our age. There's not too many people with Instagram and Twitter at our age, and just honestly ever really. Most people have either A, Twitter, or B, Instagram. So really meshing the two together to make it into like put it on one platform, or like bringing Instagram content to Twitter and bringing Twitter content to Instagram works really well. And yeah, I'd say posting tweets and TikToks really does well on Instagram because, like I said, you're bringing it over to another platform.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about if you know your most engaged content piece of all time, like what's the one that got the most likes?
It was actually in 2016 or 2017 maybe. It was literally just a picture, and for some reason Instagram popped it off on the explore page. I think it sat on the explore page for like a month, and it has like 350,000 likes. And at the time I only had like, I think like maybe 400, 500K. So that was crazy. It was just a picture of a dog, and I can't remember what it said now, but it was a like a cute, like it was like a Facebook meme. It was like a mom Facebook meme of like a dog going to heaven, and I was like, okay, and it just did amazing. But recently I've just had videos do like 150K, which is really good while private. I've had videos do like 125, 150, 160K. And that's usually like what pops off while you're private. Like those videos are like the good videos while you're private.
What do you schedule any of your content? And if no, why not?
So there is like apps you can use and like programs you can use to schedule your content. I personally just try to use the least amount of programs and apps to like in associating with my account because I'm just scared of getting deleted. It's like my biggest fear, obviously. So I try not to piss Instagram off. So I actually don't. I don't schedule any of my content. It's just like I find it, I post it. And also another reason I don't do that is because I like to be I'm usually or try to be the first to post like a meme from Twitter out of all like the meme pages or like a TikTok video that's popping off. I try to be the first to do that. So I like to do it in the moment. And the second I find it, get it up.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Have you looked into the Facebook Creator Studio at all? You can like link it directly through Instagram. Like it's like Facebook's actual Creator Studio.
Oh no, I actually have not looked at that.
Yeah, I would check it. That's what I've been using because, like, to your point, you don't want to piss Instagram off. So it's like it's the actual one for like you go on your Facebook page, like the Hoest Facebook page, and you'd link it to the Hoest Instagram. So it's all through Instagram.
Do you need to be public for that though?
True. I don't actually know because I've never used a private account before on that.
Yeah, so that's the other problem is like to be a business page, you got to be public. And it's like, well, now I can't see my analytics and now I can't. So every time I do an ad on my story for a swipe up, you need to be public and you need to be a business account for that. So I have to switch to public for a second, switch to a business or a creator account, and then put the swipe up link on the story, get it up and switch back to private. So that's the problem with being private.
Got you.
It's very limiting.
Yeah. And talk to me about fan engagement. Because obviously, like that's such an important part is building that connection with your audience. And it's probably easier to do as like a personal page, like with a face behind the account. So like, how do you do that as a meme account, building that connection with your audience?
It's tough. I try to find like a healthy balance. I reply to comments some days. I'll reply to some DMs that I get that are like really like, so I get DMs that are like, you saved my life. Like, thank you so much. Like you brought me up. Like my mom died today and you just made my day better with the dog video or with that funny meme. Like it's insane that the comments and like reactions I get. Like I said, I'm just here posting it for fun. Now, not actually, but that's what I started it off as. And to think that like it's saving lives is crazy. I try to not build a direct connection, but I do try to just stay on top of being like just kind and helpful whenever my followers do need it. Or whenever they like, if I see a negative reaction to like a post, I avoid it. Like don't worry. Sometimes I delete them. I try not to be like the guy that like deletes content that people don't like, but if it's like a really negative feedback, I do delete it and I'll make sure I never post it again and I keep it in mind and I write down in my notes like what didn't work. But yeah, I try not to build like personal connection and just try to keep it as like a platform where you can just go and enjoy. And that's why I avoid like the political side of things. I never post politics. I don't post my opinion on anything. Anytime I post something, it's always the caption with like thoughts or what are your thoughts on this? Because I'm not putting my thoughts on it because I don't want anyone to take it as like in a bad way or be unfollow because they don't like my thoughts on the post or the video or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming like with the meme account, do you get hate at all?
Oh yeah, all the time. Um, it's cliche as well, but like I just don't care. People who send me like they say kill yourself, like you're a whole bunch of horrible stuff. Um, it's like I don't know what to say to you. Like not to be cocky or arrogant. Like I have 2 million followers. I don't know what the problem is. Like, I don't know why you're bashing me. And I'm not trying to be mean once again, but the people DMing me usually have about like 100, 200 followers. And it's like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say to you when you message me, kill yourself. Like I just post memes all day. I don't know what you want, like what you're trying to get out of that. And I know they're just trying to get a reaction, but like it literally does not affect me because I've always been someone who just doesn't care what other people think. And I just do my own thing. So yeah.
And like you personally aren't on the account, right? Like no one actually knows who's they're DMing when they DM you.
So I posted my personal account on my story because someone asked. I did like a Q&A little thing once, back like a year or two ago, and I posted. I'm like, they're like, "What's your personal? Like, we want to know what you look like." And I was like, "Well, if I hit 1 million followers, I'll post my personal." And I hit 1 million, so I was like, "I'll post my personal for like 10 minutes." And I gained like 10K followers in like 15 minutes. So those people do know what I look like. But for the most part, nobody knows who I am or what I look like because I try to just keep it secret and I just try to not make it a personal thing. And like I said, just keep it as like a platform where you can just go and enjoy content without any sort of personal side to it.
Mhm. And so you mentioned earlier how Instagram is your primary platform. Like you didn't even hesitate when I asked you that question. But you've posted, I think, over 12,000 times on Instagram. You're at 2 million followers. On TikTok, this number is probably a bit dated because I took these notes a little while ago. But at the time, you had 316 videos in about a year. And you already had 1.5 million followers on TikTok. So at that rate, TikTok's growing at a much quicker rate than Instagram was and is. So how come you're still focused primarily on Instagram when there's a ton of growth happening on TikTok right now?
So my reasoning behind that is Instagram for you to get an Instagram follow is so much harder and more valuable than a follow on TikTok. Because on TikTok, you're going on there to have fun. Like you're going on there to find accounts like mine. Whereas on Instagram, you're trying to keep your account as professional as possible for the most part. You're trying to keep your account like people care about their follow ratio, people care about how many people they follow, just the number alone. So getting a follow is way more valuable on Instagram than it is on TikTok. And you can tell just by the revenue on each platform. And just like the ad pricing on each platform, like what is more expensive. And yeah, in my opinion, Instagram is way more valuable. And the other thing with TikTok is I have a problem growing it because not an actual problem, but I just have like a background thought growing it that I feel like it's not going to be around very long. I feel like it's kind of like a fad. I'm glad it's here and it's amazing. And like I said, I'm so grateful for the growth I've had on that platform too. And I have made money on it, thank God. Um, but I just feel like it's not as long term as Instagram. So that's why I try to really stay focused on Instagram because it's the more long term platform, in my opinion, and it's the more valuable platform.
Interesting. Do you know, like, is it just more like a gut feeling as to why you think it's going to be short term? Like, I'm just genuinely curious because, like, I go back and forth on it every once in a while too.
Yeah, so I go back and forth on it too. Sometimes I'm like this will last years. Other times I'm like this honestly TikTok may only have a couple years left, which is still a long time in like an app space. Like for the fact that it has a couple years is still incredible. But I feel like at what point does it get old? Like at what point does seeing Charlie D'Amelio do a Renegade get old? I don't know. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it stays around longer than Instagram. Maybe it beats out Instagram, but I just don't see where they go from what they have right now. Whereas like Instagram, like obviously just added Reels. So there's another thing. They killed Snapchat off. Like I don't even have Snapchat on my phone anymore. I just think like Instagram will just basically take what they've done in the past, take TikTok's like innovation and what they use, and just implement in their app, and TikTok will slowly die out, and Reels will become a bigger thing. Not anytime soon, like in like the next year or two, and you'll see TikTok fade out, especially with all these bans that it's getting and stuff. It's pretty dicey, so we'll see what happens.
So you're using Reels a lot more now, or like, are you still preferring TikTok to Reels personally?
So right now, the natural organic reach on TikTok is literally insane. Like in 2019, I had the most liked video on TikTok. It had like 7.9 million likes or something. It has like 45 million views, which is absolutely crazy. So the natural growth there and like the natural just algorithm there is insane. But I think Reels is starting to like really pop off, not pop off, but really gain some traction now. um, so I think Reels will become, like I said, more relevant and like what people use. Because once again, in my opinion, Instagram is a more valuable platform. But I guess time will tell and we'll see.
And what about other social media platforms? Like you mentioned, you have your Twitter. Are you looking at YouTube or anything like that? Like, 'cause I found a Hoest YouTube, but I don't think there's any content on it. Like, is that something you're kind of looking at potentially doing?
Yeah, so Twitter, I just use like I'm trying to grow Twitter, but it's just kind of like a natural thing. Like people retweet it. I gain like a few followers a day on it. It's mostly just to get content up on Instagram. I just use it as like kind of like an editing app at this point. And then eventually it will grow to 50K at some point, but I'm not in a rush to get it there. I also have Facebook, which I've also been slacking on. Um, just because I also don't know how valuable Facebook is. It's obviously super valuable, and like the growth there is also incredible with the way you can share posts and stuff, and like actually share posts to your feed. Like the reach there is insane. So I do want to like focus more time on a Facebook as well. I think I have like 5,000 likes on Facebook, 4,000 likes on Facebook. But yeah, I definitely want to put more time into both those platforms as well.
And not really. So that was Twitter and Facebook, not YouTube, correct?
Yeah, so I also thought about doing a YouTube, but that's also really hard with the whole copyright thing based on what I do. It's really hard to not get your account deleted in like the first week with just posting other people's videos. Um, a good account that does it is Bitch, like at Bitch. They do it really well, and they're like partnered with Collab, the licensing company and like the media company, and they do it really well because they license the videos and then they own the video and get it up and do like a big compilation, which is exactly what I wanted to do. But by myself, it's a little hard to do all that and continue to grow Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and eventually like soon Facebook.
And what about a website? There's no Hoest website or anything as far as I could find.
So yeah, I do also want to get like a website. I love what Barstool Sports does. I kind of want to build it. That's like my goal for Hoest is like build it into like a Barstool Sports, but for memes and like viral videos. That's the end goal. We'll see what happens, but yeah, eventually a website. Once again, whenever I figure out how to do it effectively and properly.
And so I'm curious, if you had to start over from scratch today, like if everything was gone and when you woke up tomorrow, would you start over from scratch?
I think so. It's tough to. I like to think I would. I have an account called Heartswarming with like 23K. That's kind of like a backup account. I think I would just put all my time into that. But yeah, I like to think I would. I love it. Like I literally love it. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. And like I said, it doesn't feel like work, and it doesn't feel like it's even a job at all. Like I literally just wake up and it's just like my life at this point, and I love it. So I like to think I would. But who knows?
And then talk to me about Hearts Warming. Like, what was the intent behind starting that? And then it's growing well. 88 posts, 23.3K. This is again, my notes are a couple days old at this point, so that could have changed. But like, what was the intent behind starting it?
So I just wanted to have like a backup account with a good name, and like a theme, like an actual theme. As Hoest doesn't have like a theme, it's just everything. Like everything goes up there. So I just wanted cute videos, and cute videos always do well. Like they forever will, and they always will because everyone's always looking for a little smile or a little tear, like a tearful video, a tearjerker. So the idea was just it seems like a good theme to grow. Eventually, I could change it into like a Hoest once again and like use it as a starter to grow the original growth, and then switch it into like a not niche or themed account and make it into like another Hoest if I needed to. But I think I'll just keep it as a themed account, and that's another thing I also have to start working on that more, putting more time in that.
And I've heard people say that you can't, like, growing on Instagram is really hard. It's almost like not impossible, but it's getting to that point now. Like, do you agree with the notion that you can't really grow on Instagram anymore?
It's definitely way harder than it used to be, just with oversaturation and everything. But I don't think it's impossible. You just like my whole thing was being first to post the memes, and then the other accounts would follow. So I would get the first bit of people who like, oh, this I've never seen this before. Perfect. You just got to do something different, and as obvious as that is, you just got to be different. You can't do the same stuff. Obviously, when you look at puberty memes are me, like we look like we do the same stuff, and like fuckboy problems and all that. We look like we do the same stuff, but there's still differences in the accounts and like what we post and what we really push. So yeah, you just got to be different, and you just got to try new things, because that's all I did whenever I started my account, was just tried to grow it and just try different things that would grow it.
Okay. And so, and actually, speaking of that, you grew, I think you had 1.6 in January and you hit 2 million recently. Why do you think that happened? Is that just everything you're doing? Do you think COVID was a factor with everyone being inside on their phones more? Do you think that contributed to you growing on the last, I don't know, was that 6 months, 8 months?
Yeah, so I hit 1.6 mil in January, and I actually hit 2 mil in like end of April, which is a long time ago. And to be fair, I've only gained like I think like 75K since then. And like I said, I've been kind of stepping back, and to be fair, I should have been going all at it because COVID and everyone was inside on their phone. The only problem with that is everyone's sleep schedules have been absolutely destroyed because of COVID, because people are staying up later. People are waking up at like 1 p.m. Like it's a mess. Like my follower like when they're most active is so different now. It's completely changed because like I said, everyone's sleep schedule is different. And that's the problem now. So posts in the morning do horrible now. And posts late at night do amazing, like really late at night, like 3 a.m. when people wouldn't like posts are doing amazing now. So there's definitely a shift in that. And that's been kind of hard to like read and when to post and really when to push videos and stuff. But yeah, so I've been just taking a step back these past few months and just, like I said, enjoying life and spending time with friends and family and just, making sure my mental health is in check and I'm actually happy. So, and like I said, catching up on sleep was a big thing for me.
And then talk to me about that decision to step back. At what point, or even like when did you kind of first have the idea of stepping back? And then how long did it take you to actually be like, okay, no, I am going to step back now?
So I was thinking about stepping back in January when I hit 1.6 mil and just like, because like I'm with this, if I base my happiness off follower count, I'm never going to be satisfied or happy because like you can always get more followers and you can always reach a bigger number. But I got the first like 11 or 10 copyright strikes in January or February and I was like, oh shit, like fuck. And I was like, man, like is it like I was so stressed. Like I've never been that stressed in my life because I was like, oh man, my account's gonna delete. Like there was so much going on in my head. And I was like, is this really worth it? Like, is this worth all the stress? And then I was like, nah, like it's fine, like whatever. We got it figured out. And then I was like I was trying to change my account so that I could avoid the copyright strikes. And then I got a few more because I would like forget to do something or for like it was weird. It was a weird time from like February to like April. And then I got a few more. And then in April, I got 2 more. Like I had 3 more on top of that. So I think I ended up with like 15 in total, which ended up to be like the $5,000, like I said. And then I just kind of had like I wouldn't say like a mental breakdown, but like just like a step back moment where I was like, okay, I need to like sit back because this is like a lot of stress and I just need to catch up on sleep because I was losing a lot of sleep. I wasn't sleeping well to begin with because I already can't sleep well. And then with all that stress and worry, it was making me sleep even less and worse. So it was just an absolute mess. And then when COVID happened, I like was like, okay, everyone's kind of taking a break right now. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon a little bit and just like relax, sleep, worry about myself. And I was like, because this whole time I've been being antisocial, like turning down plans, turning down party invites just so I could work. So I stopped doing that and kind of not party invites, obviously, because of COVID, but I just tried to really be social and like reach out to my friends and make sure everyone's okay. And yeah, just not burn any bridges or ruin or lose any friends or family that I had.
And so looking back on that decision then to step back and to focus on relationships and just happiness and mental health, do you look back on that time with regret or are you happy you did that? Because I feel like taking a step back like that, especially for young entrepreneurs, is something really, really hard to do. They feel like if they're not working, they're falling behind. And I find myself in that trap every once in a while where if I do take some time to just breathe, I feel like shit, people are passing me now because I'm like falling behind. Looking back on the decision you made, are you happy with it or do you wish you hadn't done that?
So yeah, I'm the exact same way. Like like I said, I've never taken a day off, even still. Obviously, like I've slacked days, but never taken a full day off and not posted ever. But I would say it was definitely, I do regret it to a point because obviously, like I said, I could be at 3 mil by now if I hadn't. But it's like I said, at what point does like the number even matter? And like, at what point does the money matter? And like, if I'm not sleeping and you can tell I'm drained and I look drained and I feel drained and just exhausted, like what is it worth it? So I do have a little regret, but it's also like I feel so much better now. I feel so like, what's the word, like rejuvenated, I guess, and ready to go. And I'm just like so excited for like this next year, really. So I don't regret it really, to be honest.
And then so let's flip that question on its head then and look at it from the other perspective or from prior to taking that break is making those sacrifices, like having no social life, being on your phone all day, every day, which I'm assuming after having at least one concussion, if not more, that probably still messes with you being on your phone that much. I saw in the article, I have a quote written down here that you said, I definitely have arthritis in my hand from holding my phone all day. Like, are those sacrifices worth it? Or do you look back on those decisions with regret?
No, that's the thing. I actually don't have any regrets from skipping like a lot of my social life in high school. And yeah, like the arthritis thing in my hand, like my pinky hurts because I hold my phone on my pinky. Obviously, like how you do hold your phone, and then the three finger behind it, and then use your thumbs. Obviously, my hands start to hurt some days, and I do still get headaches and you get eye strain, but it's like I know I'm putting in the work and the effort, so that kind of like to me makes it worth it. Like for example, if I was just playing video games and having those exact symptoms and not going anywhere, it's like, okay, there's a problem and I regret it. But I don't have any regrets, to be honest with it.
And where do you think your crazy work ethic comes from to work those 12, 16, 20-hour days all day, every day for 4 or 5 years? Like, where does that come from?
To be honest, I have no idea. My parents have always been like push you to do well. And I've just always had a mindset of like, if I'm not like, what's the point if you're not working? Like, I'd rather work than sit around and watch Netflix. Like, I'd just rather do something and progress my life or aid my life in the future now, because like, if there's one thing you can't get back, it's time. So I just want to make sure I use my time effectively and well so that it benefits me in the future.
And I want to dive a little deeper into the business side of Hoest and almost like the quote unquote, like the boring business side. Like, did you have to register Hoest as a business and get like trademarked or copywritten and everything like that?
Yeah, so I did do that. I got it trademarked. I actually have to renew that soon. I have it written down as, or like officiated as a business. I pay taxes obviously as a business. And yeah, I have to do all the boring business stuff myself. Like I said, I do everything. I do the accounting behind it. I do the finances behind it. I do the planning of it. I do the like everything, the finding the content, the posting the content, everything.
And was like figuring out the whole like the boring business side again, like figuring out how to do taxes properly in the right amounts. Like, was that like how'd you figure all that out? Did you have people helping you, like even like whether it be family or friends or anything like that, or did you just kind of like Google it? Like, how'd you put all those pieces together?
My parents helped me a lot with that and just making sure that I, don't end up getting arrested by avoiding taxes, which I'm not doing. It is really hard and it is super boring and just like tedious. But like I said, it's like a couple days a year that you got to do it and really focus on it. But yeah, I was supposed to like really like talk to some accountants and really get some stuff sorted. But then obviously COVID hit. So now I'm going to do that this year if COVID goes like chills out a bit. And really like make sure everything is sound, because I don't want to do anything illegal. And I'm not saying I am, but just to be 100% sound. And yeah.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from the business side or about business from running Hoest?
Definitely being consistent. And like I said, that's obviously pretty obvious and cliche, but being consistent and really putting in hard work and working. If you want to do something, like do it. Then like I started it because of the K, like because of the K next to the flower account. I did not know I'd be able to drop out of school, like 5 years from then, and be living on my own and just thriving really and doing great. So I would say that, and yeah, also just like don't burn any bridges. Like, I am nice, or try to be nice to everybody, even if they're bad to me, because like I have no enemies, I like to say, in like the community or anything like that. So yeah, don't burn any bridges because who knows. And yeah, just take everything seriously. Like if you get an offer or an email, take it seriously. They may not seem serious or they may seem like a joke kind of, but take everything serious because you never know.
Mhm. And in terms of a revenue side, like what are all the ways Hoest as a business is making money right now? Is it exclusively through doing like paid ads or like promotion for companies, or are you doing like consulting or anything like that, or is it all just through like sponsored posts?
Right now it's all through sponsored post. I have thought about consulting. But right now the only revenues I have are like through story ads, feed post ads, and on TikTok I do like sound ads. So I promote like songs that just came out for uh money, and hopefully they pop off and get in the TikTok sphere so that they pop off in TikTok and get a bunch of streams.
And so are all these deals that come, are they coming inbound, or do you need any outreach to try and work with specific companies?
So originally I did do outreach because I just wanted to see like how this worked really early on. I don't do any outreach now just because I get enough ads that I almost have to turn down some of them because I get too many offers. So I try to just, and another thing is like I don't want to flood my feed with ads, so that's another thing. Like I try to do at most one ad a day, and like I'm not saying I do it like back to back to back, but I try to only do one ad a day, not two, just so people don't get upset. But yeah.
And so when you say like you have too many, like you have enough coming in, like can you kind of contextualize like if you were to like ballpark it on average, like how many deals are you getting in like a day or even in a given week?
So like with Fashion Nova, for example, we do like a bulk deal. So 30 posts and 30 stories is like lined up. So like I know those 30 posts and 30 stories got to get up from like a month in advance. So that's boom, that's set up. That's guaranteed revenue. And then I have like where I do promotions for new songs that come out, for new music that drops, and then I do just like little promotions for companies like Cloudy. And then I do like the odd ad for like the Super Bowl, for example, when it comes up. I do the ads for the weekend. Bryson Tiller, for example, like promoting music. And yeah, like it's just kind of random. Like some days, like some weeks you'll go with no ads because there's nothing going on. And then like this week, for example, you have like 50 ads like be wanting to be bought in that week. And it's like, holy moly, like I don't even have time to get all these up and I don't have the space to get them all up. So it really varies.
Have you ever, you just listed like a ton of crazy people and companies and brands that have bought ads with you. Like, have you ever thought about like just how crazy that is?
Yeah. So I don't realize it in the moment, but after I like get it up and people like, you're doing an ad for the weekend or you did an ad for the Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, holy shit, I did an ad for the Super Bowl. That's crazy. Um, yeah, I definitely do realize how crazy it is a little after, but in the moment, I'm just like, okay, let's get this done. Let's get it set up. Let's get it up. I don't like fanboy or anything, even though I want to, and I just get it up and go from there.
And then in a week like this week where you said you got 50 people wanting to buy ad spots, how do you determine at that point who to work with and who not to work with?
So the first thing I do is who has the cleanest ads. So who has an ad that isn't going to disrupt my feed as like is going to disrupt it as little as possible. So if you have a clean ad that looks like a meme that I would post, you're top priority. Then obviously it goes down to who's paying the most and then or who has the biggest budget. And then it will go down to if I need the ads at the bottom that are like kind of spammy and will lose me more followers.
So you don't have to create any of the content. Like when brands come to you, they present you with the content and everything. So you don't have to worry about it.
Sometimes I'd say like 50-50. Sometimes they ask me like, yo, what can you do with this? Like, how can you caption this? Like, can you just make it look organic? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I do that. For example, most of those music ads, I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about. Like, when did I post this Bryson Tiller one? I'll check here. I posted it on like one day, literally a day ago or a day and a half ago. And that one I just made look organic as possible. They just sent me the video and they're like, what can you do with this? And I just made it look organic as possible so that it would fit in the feed and hopefully do as well as possible.
And have you noticed it's those ones that look organic and fit naturally within the feed that perform the best?
Oh yeah, they do the best. Sometimes I've had ads perform better than my actual videos. Like I've had ads do like 100K likes and then I have my own posts and videos that do like 30-50K and I'm like, what the hell? How did an ad do better? So if an ad does really good like that, then I know like that's perfect because I'm probably gaining followers off of the ad, which is amazing. First of all, I'm getting paid and I'm gaining followers off it. It's incredible.
And does the volume of content that you put out, so when you're putting like 30 to 50 posts a day, like when I understand like not right now, but when you're in grind mode, do companies want you to almost post less? So it's like their ad is the one that's kind of circulating longer before you start posting newer content, or like how does that work?
So yeah, sometimes you do have to, they do NIF, which is nothing in front for 30 minutes, an hour. But like I said, usually in a feed, the way the feed is set up now with the algorithm, usually you see like the people who would have seen your normal post or the ad are going to see it at some point within like a week or so. So it's not really that much of a concern right now, but yeah, it does. The nothing in front thing does come up sometimes and they just ask like, can you not post for like an hour? And I'm like, yeah, no problem.
And so you mentioned earlier how that the content that looks organic performs really well. And when you work with a company like Fashion Nova, for example, we said it's like 30 feed posts, 30 Instagram stories. Do you find that those, when you work with the company on a more longer term basis, that performs well because that feels more organic than posting just like one-off posts? Like if it's a repeat, does that start to perform better, or does it almost like because it's repeated, people kind of get bored of it and they engage less?
So with Fashion Nova, they do switch up the content like super off. They have content like new content, fresh content all the time. And the thing with Fashion Nova is it's such a big brand and so many people buy from it that I don't really lose followers on those ads. If they're like super explicit sometimes and like spammy, I do. But most time people understand that like Fashion Nova is like a big brand now, and like understand that they do partner with accounts. So it's not as detrimental to an account to partner with them because of their just like presence in like the fashion industry and just social media in general. Sometimes the one-off ads are better, but also sometimes just like repeat, what's the word? Like presence is better because obviously it sticks in your mind. You see it all the time. You're always thinking about it. It's better. But once again, sometimes the one-off, it just depends on the company, really.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember your first brand deal?
Yeah, my first brand deal was I had like like I said, the Kick Chat where I got like a bit of money from there, maybe like $500 to $1,000. But my first like real brand deal was with Tentree. We did like 10 posts, and I was at Foodland, and I texted my dad. I was like, Tentree just did it. We're doing a deal with 10 posts, and I'm gonna make more from this one deal than I will working at Foodland full time for the month. And then he was like, I forget what he texted me back, but I think he just posted on Facebook and like laughed at me. He's like, my kid's trying to quit his job or something. It was so funny, but that was my first like real official brand deal.
That's crazy. And so with your money coming primarily off of ad revenue, does is it inconsistent then? Like what your month to month looks like? Like you said, some weeks you get no offers, some weeks like this week you have 50 brands reaching out to you trying to do an ad spot. Does that mean like your monthly income really fluctuates up and down on any given month?
Yeah. So some months like, and sometimes I don't push ads at all. Some months I try, like when I'm in grind mode, sometimes I try to focus on not putting ads up just so it's like straight content, no ads. But yeah, some months you make like, a little bit, and then other months you make an absolute boatload. So it is, like I said, I'm not or I don't think I've said it, but I'm not a big spender. So it's not really hard to like live off of like in that kind of way. Like I said, some weeks you have $0, and then other weeks you have like $15,000, and it's like, holy shit, like that's good. Makes up for the week I made zero. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard to navigate and really understand because, like you said, it's not like a job where you have a secure income coming in every week. Some weeks you have zero. Some weeks you have $15,000. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. And in that article that we mentioned earlier, I have another quote here. You said that you have a year worth of salary or like revenue just kind of put away. Do you still have that? And why did you decide to do that?
So yeah, I do still have that. I have a year worth of like my bills just like saved up. And the reason I did that was actually Gary Vee. He said you should always have like an emergency supply of money saved up just in case like it all shuts down. Like say Hoest died tomorrow, I don't have. There's less stress because I can still pay my bills, and I'm not going to get like evicted from my house. I'm not going to lose my car. My phone's going to get turned off. Like it's none of that. So that's the reason I did it. And I really just do want to be secure and not have to stress as much if Hoest does get deleted tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And what's your long-term vision for Hoest? Like, do you even imagine it like going beyond social media and doing products or anything like that? What are you picturing long-term?
Like I said, I do want to kind of make it into like a Barstool Sports type thing and like hire talent and stuff like that and really manage the talent and stuff like that. As well as like keep it as like a marketing aspect and maybe do consulting a little bit and just basically I just want to turn it into Barstool Sports but for memes and branch it out into different accounts. Like I'm thinking about starting like Hoest Sports officially and like Hoest what's another one I did, Hoest Travel. Like I have those names ready to go and I just want to kind of push it as a brand, kind of like what Puberty's doing right now. They're kind of beating me to it, but yeah.
And then so like so there's that. You've also mentioned like how you wanted to focus also on Hearts Warming and the Facebook account, the Twitter account. Ultimately, like you can only do so much running it by yourself. And so at what point do you think you're going to start bringing on employees or have a staff under you?
Probably pretty shortly. I could use like a little help, like assistant help right now, just to get through emails and just get through like the kind of the junk stuff. But yeah, probably pretty shortly. I do want to hire like a team and be able to just kind of focus on the overhead and just like direct people on what to do and how to run it and get it going well. And yeah, eventually branch out and do it. But then again, so like Elon Musk runs like Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City, OpenAI, and the Boring Company. So if he has time to do all that, and once again, obviously he has a team below him, I feel like I have time to run a meme page and run other pages and do other things along with it.
Do you think that when you make that switch, make that transition, do you think it's going to be a hard one for you? Because you personally have been Hoest for 5 years. Every single post has been you. That's over 12,000 on Instagram. Do you think kind of having to step back and almost like let it go to some degree, the day-to-day management is going to be hard for you?
Yeah, so I've had obviously offers for like help and like, yo, I can help you and all this. And I just haven't done it because like I said, I love doing it. I think it'll be very hard to do. I've already thought about how I would react having to give up, something I do on the account to someone else. Because I enjoy every aspect of it, and that's what makes it so fun. And so enjoyable is just I get to do everything and it's all me, and seeing the success, I know it's just all me. So obviously there comes a point when it gets too big that I'm gonna have to, change it up and give some stuff to other people. But for now, I still think I'm okay by myself, but it will be shortly where I need to get some help for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then talking about kind of like outside of Hoest personally, another quote here from that article is you were contemplating whether or not to buy a Tesla or real estate. And so did you end up buying that Tesla?
No, not yet. So I'm still thinking about it. I want to lease a Model 3 just to really, like, I don't want to go into like a Model S or Model X right away just because I want to see what it's like. But there wasn't a leasing option for the Model 3. I think there is now in Canada at least. I think there is now just for obviously the tax write-off purposes. So I'll probably do that now that you can, but we'll see. That's like a high goal for me is like property, real estate, and a Tesla because it's my dream car.
But I've also heard you quoted saying you have a fear of spending money. Like even $150 sweater might be like a big time, a long-term decision. Like, why do you think you have that fear of spending money?
Um, mostly because my parents, because they've always taught me to like save money and only buy what you need and just make sure you have money saved up. But recently I've been buying stuff just because. So now what I do when I buy clothes is I make sure that if I have clothes that if I wear it for a year and I resell it, it's still going to be worth more than what I paid for it just because it's like a drop from like a company, for example, like Revenge or something. So yeah, I try to do that just so then I don't want to have as like a lot of depreciating assets. So clothes aren't really like an asset, but in my eyes they are. Like I think of it on that scale.
And you've purchased some art as well, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say art necessarily. Like for example, I went to the IKEA and Off-White collab, and I bought the wet grass rug, which I bought for like I think it was $300, and now it's worth like $1,200 on StockX. Like I do stuff like that. Whenever I buy something, I try to avoid as much depreciation as possible. Like I said, just because that's just me thinking, just hopefully smart about my purchases. Or if you want to look at me trying to explain my purchase or my reasoning to buy something. So yeah, I try to buy like collectible stuff that I know has resale value. So if I ever do need to sell it for whatever reason, I don't lose money on it.
And you sat in line for 6 hours to get that wet grass thing, right?
Yeah, correct. We went at 5 a.m. to IKEA and it was the coldest morning and sat outside until I think 11 a.m. And then we got in at 11:30 and I got the rug, the wet grass rug, the mirror, like a toolbox kit, and what else did I get? And like these bed sheets that also sell from everything I bought sells for way more than what I paid for it. So
That's awesome. Do you ever plan on growing your personal brand? Like you said, you posted your personal for 10 minutes on Hoest and you gained 10,000 followers. Is that something you ever think of doing, is growing the Ryan Carter brand?
I do kind of want to like I'm not sure what path I want to take it down. I do want to grow a personal brand because personal brand is very important and it's way more valuable than having obviously like a meme page. But I'm not sure if I want to take it down like the influencer path or like the Gary V like motivational speaker path. So it's going to take some time to really figure out what I want to do with it, and what I want the end goal for my personal to be. But for now, I'll probably just keep it as like a personal thing. And if people find it, they find it, and if they gain value from it, they gain value from it.
Fair enough. And so, right, so you're 19 years old still, right?
I'm 20 years old.
20. So you're 20 years old. Do you ever take time to reflect on everything you've accomplished so far? Like you started out in high school, just wanting to get the K next to your Instagram account. Now you have an M next to your Instagram account. Like how often do you reflect on this whole journey?
I do reflect on it quite often, and I'm so grateful for it. Like I said, I never thought I would be here. I just I never really liked school. I just always found it boring. I always like, oh, fuck, I got to get up for school and like I got to go to class today. Like, are you kidding me? Like, shit is so boring. And I always found it like inefficient. I always found like ways to be more efficient at school. But yeah, so I reflect on it all the time. I'm so grateful. Like I said, I'm 20 years old. I got to drop out of school healthily and safely for now. So I have no reason to complain, and I'm so, so grateful for it.
Mhm. That's awesome. And before I let you go, I want to ask you the same standard set of questions that I ask everyone at the end of every interview. I used to call it rapid fire, but people told me these weren't really rapid fire type questions. Then I started calling it the Q&A, but then I realized this is a podcast, the whole fucking Q&A, so that made no sense. So now I don't really have a question. I don't really have a title for this, but the first question is: you're going to dinner. You can take 3 people. It can be anybody, dead or alive. Who do you take to dinner?
Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and Juice World.
What's some of the best advice you've ever been given?
There's a quote from Elon Musk that says, "No one ever changed the world working 40 hours a week." And obviously, I'm not changing the world with Hoest, but I just took into account like the work ethic. There is like no one really accomplishes anything working 40 hours a week. You got to put a lot of work in, and also just my parents saying, like make sure whatever you do. They always told me that like the money doesn't matter, and just make sure whatever you do, you're happy doing it, and if you're not doing it, try to change it up.
When your alarm goes off in the morning, what motivates you to get up and out of bed?
Just a day. Now that I don't have school, I am genuinely excited for the next day. I can't sleep some days because I'm excited just for the next day and what the next day brings. Whereas before at school, I dreaded waking up and going to bed because I didn't want to go for the next day for school.
What is one thing about you people wouldn't expect?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I feel like my work ethic, because I feel like people think I just sit at home and I'm like doing like just playing Xbox and not doing anything. But that's a tough question. Probably that though. Probably how much time it actually takes to run a meme page.
What is one thing that's so important everybody needs to know?
Mental health is very important, and happiness over money, 100%. And being willing to take that step back if you see yourself going down like a bad path of like dread and worry and stress. Don't be afraid to take a step back.
I think that's important. And for the last question, I like to flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So pretend you have this crystal ball. You can ask this crystal ball any question. You'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
That's a great question. Oh my God. There's a lot. Probably is there life outside of our planet?
I like that question. I think there's been like that's always the one where people have to like think the most, I think, is that last question.
Yeah, that was a great question.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking the time to be on this podcast, your first podcast. That means a lot that you're willing to spend it on my social life. I want to give you the floor. Where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything you got right now.
You can find me at Hoest, obviously Hoest, and you can also find me on Instagram on my personal at Ryan Carter, RyanCarrter, and you can find me on TikTok too at Hoest.
Awesome. I want to thank you once again for taking time to be on this podcast. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Whether you've listened the entire way through, you only listen to bits and pieces, I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Everyone do me a big favor. Go and follow Hoest. Go and follow Ryan. Go and follow Hearts Warming. I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. If you'd like to follow the podcast, you can find us on Instagram and at My Social Life Podcast, or YouTube by searching up My Social Life. As always, today's podcast is powered by Trufan. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.